I'm Paul Kanitra, and I represent the Jersey Shore. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else than growing up in Point Pleasant Beach and growing up in the Jersey Shore. My family moved to town when I was just in kindergarten. My mom was a single mother with epilepsy. She needed a place that was going to be a safe environment. She didn't drive. She wanted a walkable place. And my mom needed that sense of community to kind of help raise me. The most important thing I think about growing up here is understanding the tourism economy and how business drives everything. That's what fed us. And if we had a good season, everybody in the family was great, and if we had a poor season, everybody felt that. I'm a Point Pleasant Beach guy. I went through the Point Pleasant Beach school system. When it was time to go to college, I wanted something a little different, and that different was Texas Christian University out in Fort Worth, Texas. I was the only person from New Jersey at TCU for 2 out of the 4 years, and there couldn't be two more different places than the Jersey Shore and Texas, right? They both have stereotypes, they both have big personalities. I was a political science major, but only after I jettisoned business and finance. I did that because former Speaker of the House, Jim Wright, who actually was a Democrat, was one of the professors at TCU, and the opportunity to study under him, it was invaluable to me. So while I was at TCU, I realized I needed an internship, but I didn't know how the heck to actually get one. At the time, I called up Congressman Chris Smith, and I said, hey, I live in the district. I just became a political science major. I'd love to come in and learn a little bit about stuff. So just fortuitous for me that I was able to jump in there, and I wound up loving it. I loved DC. It was kind of what built the foundation for me being a policy wonk and just loving the minutia of government and trying to make it more efficient. And at the end of that first summer, he invited me to go back to the Helsinki Commission, which was the joint House and Senate Commission on Human Rights in Eastern Europe. And then a job opened up at Congressman Mike Ferguson's office, and I got the opportunity to be his field director. I learned so much from Congressman Smith and Congressman Ferguson. They both tackled politics and government in two different ways. I co-opted aspects of both of them into how I like to govern and how I just like to handle myself in general, and it was totally invaluable. So after Congressman Ferguson's office, I actually ran for office at 21 years old. Right here in Point Pleasant Beach, I ran for town council against two 16-year Democrat incumbents. I had a nice 4-button suit that looked like I made it out of the drapes. I had an awful goatee at the time, but I knocked on every single door in town. Wound up coming about 90 votes short, and I was devastated, right? There I was young in my 20s, and I thought it was the end of the world. But I realized I needed a little bit more experience under my belt. So I went all over the country in government relations work. I went down to Texas. I worked for a nonprofit association doing security work. I went out to Nevada and I worked on a Native American reservation where I represented Washoe, Paiute, and Shoshone, and I got a land exchange bill passed for them. So after running all around the country, I got an understanding of how expensive access to government was. So I took that experience and I wound up starting my own lobbying firm called Lobby It. And the whole purpose was to make government more approachable. Because to have a lobbyist, to have a voice for the average organization, it's out of their financial abilities. When you walk into our office up on Capitol Hill, it says lobbying for the people right on the wall. And I take that really seriously. So my lobbying firm was humming along. I was living in Washington, D.C., and my grandparents were starting to get a little bit older, and I realized I needed to come back home to help take care of them. And when I was here, I got asked to jump back into politics, and I didn't think I was going to do that for another couple of years, but I decided to take the plunge anyway and got elected to the Point Pleasant Beach Council. It was really my first exposure to kind of ugly politics, because the first time that I didn't vote the way that everybody wanted me to vote, the knives came out. When our mayor had thought he was going to move to the state assembly, people were jockeying to run for mayor, and I decided I was going to throw my hat in the ring. And I got a text message: we're going to destroy your personal career, we're going to destroy your professional career. So even when our mayor at the time didn't make it to the assembly, I decided to run against him in his re-election. And we won big. We won 60-40 in the primary election. We went on to win in the general election. So when I came into being mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, things were not going in the right direction. Things were in various states of disrepair. There was trash all over town, and it was a disaster. So I came in with a huge agenda. At my first council meeting, I unveiled this 24-slide PowerPoint presentation that laid out exactly what the problems were in Point Pleasant Beach, exactly how I planned to fix them. Look, if everybody else is out there working their butts off, I think politicians need to be more like that themselves too. When the lake needed to be cleaned, I put on my waders and I went in and I cleaned out the lake. When my office needed to be painted, I painted my office myself. When downtown was overrun with weeds, I got everybody together and we went and we pulled the weeds out ourselves. And I wake up every morning and I try and think, how can I not be a politician today? How can I be anything but a politician? People don't like politicians. People don't like rhetoric. They don't like empty words. They don't like empty promises. They like hard work. And I tried to carry myself that way when I was mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, but I realized that there was a limit to what you could do as mayor, and if I could speak with a larger voice, I think I could make a difference. That coming in and representing 250,000 people was going to give me a platform to do that, and that's when I decided to make the leap to the state assembly. I consider myself a fighter for the entire Jersey Shore. What is good for the Jersey Shore is good for New Jersey. It doesn't matter if you live in Point Pleasant Beach or if you live in the city up north. If we lose what we have, the entire state loses. So I need to keep this safe. I need to make sure that we're moving forward, and that's the same place it was when I was growing up.